Hey, so in today's video, we're going to go over how to set up a custom version of missed call text back inside of Go High Level. That's right, we're not going to be using the standard shipped out of the box missed call text back. I'm going to show you exactly how I do it for me and my clients. And just last month, I had a client that closed a $7,000 concrete job just due to this missed call text back. So this is going to be a technical video. Like most of my videos, I'm going to do a screen share. I'm going to walk you through A to Z, no holds bar. So stick with me, even if this is longer, a little bit dry. I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. All right, at least I hope so. Excuse me. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Justin Melendez. I run a company called LeadBrain. We white label and configure Go High Level specifically for home service businesses. And so occasionally I like to get up on here as I solve problems for myself and my clients. I like to share it with you guys, and I get a lot of good feedback. So if you're liking it, if you're enjoying the content, please like, subscribe. And if you have a question or you want me to make content on some specific subject, just go ahead and drop it down in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in, and yeah, let's see it. So here's just a quick screenshot, just a quick visual of what we'll be doing, but don't worry, because we're going to walk through this entire workflow, and it's actually two workflows that I use. One of them's kind of optional, but I recommend you do it. But we'll go through that here in a little bit. But what's the problem? The problem we're trying to solve is that Go High Level standard missed call text back is not sufficient, and it puts most business owners in the same position, the same situation as which they were in when they first missed the call. And it's because, if you're not familiar, the standard Go High Level missed call text back is super easy to configure. It's one checkbox in your settings, but as soon as you miss a call, you just get some canned response. And in that response, you can drop a link if you want to, and hopefully the lead will go to the link and fill out, a form. But that's a lot of friction, and we know that most users aren't doing that, right? So instead, what we do, and a big other issue is that as soon as they call, they'll get that text, and if they call again, they'll get that same text again. And I've seen a lot of leads get upset with it, right? Because then they figure out it's automation, which isn't necessarily a problem. But if they're calling, it's probably for a reason, and they get really frustrated. So maybe you get some people with this, and it's better than nothing, surely. But we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to show you how to do this the right way. And what I really want to accomplish in disabling the standard missed call text back and replacing it with two advanced workflows is I want to be able to determine what we can do to the contact. Hey, I want to tag the contact. I want to create a new opportunity. I want to add notes in their profile. And most importantly, in my business, we build AI chatbots for our clients using Closebot. And I want to be able to activate the bot based on missed call text back. And so if you go back to one of my tutorial videos on building a bot, you'll see how I build a bot. I want to leverage that bot in every situation or every opportunity that it allows, and a missed call text back is a perfect opportunity for that. So now, instead of getting some canned response, they can have a full dynamic conversation, and my bot is trained to get their name, phone number, email, address, and preferred callback time, because the clients I serve are primarily home service business, so they really enjoy it because they have this dynamic conversation. They get more information from the lead in a conversational manner, so people are more willing to give it, and then they could choose who they want to focus on. I've had clients go so far as to start ignoring their inbound calls, which I don't recommend at all. Please don't do that. But they ignore it because they know that missed call text back is there, and they know that the bot is there. So I'm not going to show you how to create the bot in this video. I do have another video. I'll try to link it somewhere here where I show you exactly how I configure the bot, but I am going to show you and focus on the missed call text back feature. So what is this going to do? Excuse me. We're going to trigger missed call text back on voicemails, and I should have put end missed calls here, and missed calls. So that's another thing that doesn't typically happen with the standard Go High Level missed call text back. If they leave a voicemail, they don't get the missed call text back. Now this is a little bit tricky, and I'm going to show you how we configure it, because if you're just forwarding phone calls to a phone number, the lead is actually going to hit the voicemail of your client. Now, the issue with that is Go High Level thinks that phone call was answered because they're leaving a voicemail and the timer starts and it's a connected call. So what we do instead is that we set a voicemail inside the sub account, And some people may be like, well, I don't want to ask my client to record a voicemail. I'm going to show you how to use an AI voice generator to just record a generic voicemail with their brand and then just upload that instead of having them record something on like mp3record.com. It'll make more sense when you see it. But this part is optional. You don't have to trigger missed call text back on a voicemail. However, I'll tell you that we've qualified and closed a lot of sales based on people who've left voicemails. And we all know most people don't check their voicemails, especially our clients who are out and about and busy. If you run a blue collar business, you know sometimes you get home, last thing you want to do is sift through your voicemail. So what else? What else are we doing? So we're going to trigger, I guess I did. Yeah, we'll trigger the AI bot on missed calls. I'm not going to show you that. Just know that that's what we do. That part's optional. You don't have to trigger an AI bot. The workflow I show you today is actually not even showing me triggering the AI bot. The AI bot that I have is always aware. So I'm just going to send normal text messages back to the client, but the bot's going to be aware of it and be activated by it. So actually my workflow and your workflow won't look any different because my bot's just automatically happening in the background. So you can do the same thing I do here. Don't worry about the bot. Tagging. We're going to tag these contacts appropriately. We're going to use 2 tags, right? So we use one tag that I call a temporary tag, and that's a tag that we remove after 12 hours. And why do we do that? Because we tag a contact this way so that if they call again, like subsequently, and let's say I have the timer set to 12 hours, right? And that's arbitrary. You can set that as much as you want or as little as you want. But let's say if a contact calls twice in 12 hours, they're not going to get the missed call text back twice. And the reason I do that is because a lot of leads tend to get annoyed when they get like canned responses, and it loses sort of its luster when they're getting that intimate text from somebody. Now they know it's a system, and they might just ignore it, and then you're back to square one. So what I do is I put a temporary tag on there, and then I set a timer for 12 hours, and then I remove that tag. So if in 12 hours they call back, then they get a missed call text back then. But if they call 4 times in the same day, they don't get 4 missed call text backs. That's how I found we've been able to implement this with most success in my business. You do what you please and modify the workflow as you see fit. Now, voicemail capture. This was like a huge issue that I should probably make a video by itself on this, right? But I had clients who they would get voicemails and they would get customers. One lady even left a client a bad review because she said, I left a voicemail and so-and-so didn't respond. And the guy was like, hey, she said she left a voicemail, but I didn't see a notification of a voicemail. Like, how do I even look for the voicemails? Like, what's this lead connector thing? And I don't know how to get there. And he was getting pretty frustrated with me, and he was right. So what we did was we came up with a solution to where voicemails are easy to find, where the recordings are, one click, get to the recording. And we also send a notification to our client whenever they do receive a voicemail so that they know to check it. So that there is worth $1 million. So I'll probably make another video just doing that. But I'm going to show you how to do it. It's included in this missed call text back workflow. I included it in mine, so I'll include it in this as well. And then I talked about the timer, so I'm not going to talk about that again. So here are the steps we're going to take. Let's hop right into it just so that we can follow. I know all this theory stuff gets pretty boring. So let's go into a test account that I have here. Let me move myself out of the way and see if I can get this timer out of the way. Cool. We're going to go into settings. First thing we're going to do is disable Go HighLevel's missed call text back. So if you are unfamiliar, we are going to go and uncheck this and then save missed call text back settings. So at the moment, if somebody calls right now, they're not getting a missed call text back. And this is a demo account, so we actually don't even have a phone number configured here. But I just wanted to show you that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to configure the voicemail settings so that instead of forwarding calls directly to somebody's phone number, we're going to forward it to a user, and we're going to have our voicemail settings here. So it's actually still in this same menu. We're just going to go ahead and set this timeout. I set it to 20 seconds. You can set it to 10 seconds. And then we need to upload an MP3 file. And so instead of going to get your client to record a voicemail or anything, we're just going to use 11 Labs. I use 11labs.io. I use this very basic prompt to come up with a voicemail. And essentially it takes text and turns it into speech. So let's just go ahead and do that. And we'll listen to it together. Let's see.
Sorry, we can't get to the phone right now. Please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Now, I realize that you may or may not be able to hear that. Hopefully, I can add that in post editing. But if system sound isn't translating, it's a natural sounding voice, pretty basic. But we went ahead and downloaded it, so we're going to come into here and we are going to upload what we just created and save call settings. So now this sub account does not have a phone number. And actually, I'm going to go into one of my sub accounts that does have a phone number so I can show you exactly how we configure this, because this tutorial wouldn't be complete without it. So let me get that on the screen for you. Bear with me. Cool. So this is a sub account that does have a phone number, and I'm going to blur these phone numbers just for privacy reasons. But we were in this business profile settings before. Now we're in the phone number settings. In your phone number settings here, you're gonna have to come inside here and you're gonna edit this configuration for your phone number. And instead of forwarding calls to a phone number like people typically do right here, instead what we're gonna do is we're gonna ring incoming calls, and then we're gonna select the user that we want to ring incoming calls to. All right, that's step one. So make sure there's nothing in the forward calls to section. Call recording, that's optional for you. And then we're gonna ring incoming calls to the client that you want the calls to go to, and you're going to go ahead and click save. I'm just going to exit out of here because this is a live account. Now, the second and most important thing for you to do is to go to that user. So go to my staff, and let me see if I can actually do this in here so I don't have to show you this guy's stuff. Yeah, so here's my test account. You're going to have to go to my staff, select that user that you chose to forward calls to, click edit, and then you're going to go to call and voicemail settings, and you're going to make sure that default channel for ring all is set to mobile phone. And then here, if you'd like, if you wanted to set specific voicemails for this person here, you can literally come in here and change these settings, the timeout settings, and then you can upload a voicemail if you wanted to and click save. Now, at this point, when somebody calls your phone number, it's automatically going to be routed to this user's phone. It's going to have a timeout of 20 seconds. And if nobody answers, our bot voicemail that we created with 11 Labs is going to pick up, and that voicemail is going to be recorded inside of Go HighLevel. This sets the conditions perfectly in order for us to be able to trigger off of a missed call and to be able to trigger off of a voicemail, which is very important. So now at this point, let's go ahead and head into our workflows, and we're going to start configuring our first missed call text back workflow. So we're going to head into automation workflows. We're going to click create new workflow. We're going to start from scratch. And what we're going to do is name this one, I'm just going to say one missed call text back. And I just named it one because it's step 1 out of 2. All right, first thing we're going to do is configure the trigger. So let's go ahead and add a new trigger. And we are going to search for call status. And I like to name all my workflow triggers. So I'm going to do this one on missed call because we're going to have a second trigger for voicemail. And I'm going to add a filter. I'm going to say call direction is incoming. Very important. We only want to do this on incoming calls. Another filter is going to say call status is, we're going to say no answer. Save. And actually, like if you really wanted to, you could say busy, canceled, whatever, but no answer is fine. That's going to go for missed calls. And we're going to create another trigger, very similar. We're going to say call status. And we're going to name this one voicemail. And then call direction is incoming. And then call status is voicemail. Now, you might be asking, Justin, why, if this is check marks, right, why wouldn't we just select multiple and just leave it to one trigger? Well, something I like doing when I use conditional statements like we're about to do, I like to be able to filter off what trigger was triggered to bring that contact into the workflow. So I keep, in this situation, I keep the triggers separate. So I'll go ahead and save that. And now we have our 2 triggers. So the next thing we need to do is we want to create a conditional statement. So we are going to create an if-else. And then I'm going to name this missed call tag. We're going to be checking for the missed call tag. Does the missed call tag appear? That's our temporary tag, right? And so right here, we're going to say yes. So we're going to say contact details. Actually, we're going to say no first. And we're going to say contact details tags does not include missed call. And this is a demo account, so it doesn't exist. So we went ahead and created it, I think. There it is. Okay, so long as the contact does not have a tag that's missed call, then go down this route. And so what we'll do here is we're going to start to build out the no side. So this assumes that call comes in, they don't have the missed call tag, which means that they deserve missed call treatment. So we're going to come in here and say we're going to add tags at this point. And at this point, we're going to add 2 tags. We're going to add missed call, which is our temporary tag, and MCTB. That's just an abbreviation for missed call text back. That's going to be the permanent tag. And the reason I leave that tag is so that later on when I'm reporting to my clients, like, hey, last month you actually missed 90 calls and 40 of them are qualified, right? I like to be able to give that reporting. And so MCTB will always stay on there, but missed call will be removed every 12 hours. It'll make a lot more sense as we go further into the workflow. So let's go ahead and put in missed call, and then we're gonna also create MCTB. And so we're gonna add those 2 tags. Awesome. Next thing we're gonna do is we are going to, I always like to update the contact source field. So this is optional, but I will come in here. This may even happen automatically. Missed call text back. Just another mechanism of tracking. We update that source field. And then the next thing we're gonna do is, I put a wait step in here. You don't have to put a wait step. I do it because I put a wait step of 30 seconds. And the reason I do that is because, one, it sounds more natural, but 2, if they triggered this because they're leaving a voicemail, sometimes they get the text message when they're leaving a voicemail, and I've listened to a few where they're just kind of like frazzling, trying to hang up the phone and text you back. So I give them some time to leave a voicemail and then interact with the text message. So this is optional, but we'll go ahead and add a wait 30 seconds. And the way we do that in here is we wait 0.5 minutes. Save, and then we're gonna send our text message. So SMS, I'm gonna name the SMS missed call text back, and let me copy and paste from my notes down here. Pretty simple. Hey, this is my rep name, right? For you guys can say like, hey, this is whoever your name is from whatever location you are. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I like to use variables for everything, because oftentimes I clone these workflows and clone these accounts or these snapshots for all of my clients. So the more places I use variables, the more scalable that this is. So you can make this whatever it is you want. The biggest thing here is I am activating a bot here. So I'm trying to provoke a response, because as soon as the client responds or the lead responds here, it's going to activate my bot, and the bot's going to have a conversation. So I want the client to respond. That's why I always end in a question. You can make this your own. Cool, so that part is done. So now at this point, lead comes in, they don't have the missed call tag, a bunch of stuff happens to the contact, and then most importantly, they get the text saying, hey, sorry, I couldn't come to the phone, but I can text right now, how can I help you? Now, voicemail, we need to count for the voicemail. So what we need to do here is I am gonna create another conditional statement. So we're gonna add an action here, an if and else, and I'm gonna name this voicemail. Question mark. You can name this whatever you want. Yes, and this is where those workflow triggers come in handy, right? Because we're actually going to go and based off the trigger is where we're going to send this conditional statement, or how we're going to sort this conditional statement. So if workflow trigger is, oh, and we didn't save, so that's a big no-no for me. I say save often and save early, so we're going to save and we're going to try that again. Make sure you're saving your workflows often, because it's really frustrating if you make a complex workflow and you don't save. I'm sure it's happened to all of you guys. It gets really frustrating, so make sure you're saving. Let's go, voicemail. This branch, we're gonna name it yes. And then workflow trigger is, there it is, voicemail. So that's why it's important for us to name our triggers as well, so we can easily identify them in this menu. So we're gonna go ahead and click save. And now we have this little branch. And what we're going to do here is we are going to send an internal notification. How you notify your clients is up to you, but I'm going to show you a really cool way to notify your clients so that they can actually see this voicemail and like click on it once and get taken straight to the voicemail so they can listen to it. Because if not, they're going to be confused on like how to find it, especially if it's a missed call. A lot of times it's just a phone number and there's no names or anything. So it's very difficult for them to like sort through their lead connector app or their contacts to try to find this. So I send 2 notifications. I send a SMS notification to them, letting them know they missed a call, and then I also send an app internal notification. So the first one we're going to configure is an SMS. And then you can select user types. If you wanted to do assigned user, like up at the top of this workflow, you could have assigned it to your client, or you can just pick a particular user and send it to them, send it to your client. That's who needs to see it. And then what we're going to do here is, this is a standard notification I give them. Hey, this is a lead brain notification. You've just received a voicemail, yada, yada, yada. Open up the lead connector app, some brief instructions, right? But this is just going to notify them via text, but the next notification, whenever they open their lead connector app, it's going to put the voicemail like front and center. So let's go ahead and click save here. And then the next one we're going to do is another internal notification. And this is going to be the app notification. So we're going to select notification here. And let's go and title this new voicemail from contact phone, because that's probably all we have right now. And then what we're going to do is just say, hey, click here to listen to the voicemail. This took me so long to figure out, so hopefully this helps somebody. And I put a little note in here because sometimes if the lead makes it to the voicemail and then just hangs up and doesn't leave a voicemail, there may not be a recording, but most of the time there is a recording. So down here, this is the sauce right here. Select redirect page. You're going to go to conversation, right? And then select user type. We can notify all users. And this is a little buggy, so you got to scroll down. There you go. All users, particular user, whoever you want to notify. I'm just going to leave it to all users right now. So save. So now, at this point, we've saved the workflow. So we have half of this workflow configured. Hey, if they have the missed call flag, they'll, or if they don't have the missed call tag, they're going to go down here. They're going to get the missed call text back, and then we're going to check for voicemail. If they did leave a voicemail, then we are going to notify our client. Now, if they didn't leave a voicemail, we're still going to notify our client. And so what I like to do here is I am going to make an internal notification here. This is only going to send if they didn't leave a voicemail, so this is going to be slightly different, SMS. And all I say is like, hey, you just missed a call from this phone number. The bot is active. Again, this bot stuff's optional for you. But to kill the bot, click this trigger link. I have another video showing how I accomplish this bot killing with the trigger link, but this is irrelevant for you if you don't use a bot. But basically, I just want them to know, hey, you missed a call. There's no voicemail, but the bot's active trying to qualify them. If you talk to them before the bot does, go ahead and kill the bot, and they click the link. Select users, we'll just say all users right now. Save. All right, so now that's the hard part of the entire situation here. So the next part is pretty easy. So all we're going to do is we're going to add a wait step here of 30 seconds, right? So we're going to fill out the none side. And instead of none, we can also name this missed call tag applied. Or let's say already applied, just to be descriptive here. So if the missed call tag was already applied, meaning they've called in the last 12 hours, we're going to process this a little bit different. And all we're going to do is we're actually going to notify the people of the voicemail if a voicemail exists, but we're not going to send the missed call text back tag. So what we're going to do here is add a wait step of 30 seconds. And instead of doing work twice, we're just going to copy our last one and paste it here. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to take this logic. We're going to copy. Actually, we're going to copy all actions from here. And we're going to paste it right here. And just like that, we have the final piece of our workflow. So let's go ahead and save this. And I may have spoke too soon, because what I want to do here is copy all actions from here, and then I want to copy. Oh, we don't want to delete that. Cancel. Copy action here and save. All right, so at this point, we can publish this workflow. If you want to be overly cautious, you can make the next workflow before you publish this one. But we're going to go ahead and publish this. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a really simple workflow, a second workflow that's an auxiliary to this. And we're just going to create a countdown timer of 12 hours. And then once the 12 hours has elapsed, we'll remove the missed call tag so that they can go and get a missed call text back again. Now, some people may ask, why don't you include the 12-hour wait timer in here? Well, I don't because, and maybe you know how to solve this, but if I did, then if somebody was a missed call and they came back again and they're already in this workflow because they're waiting for 12 hours, then they won't be entered into this workflow. It'll just skip it. So maybe there's some settings that you can configure. I don't know them, but comment down below if you do. So let's go ahead and start another workflow. This one's going to be super simple. We're almost done, I promise. So we're going to create missed call text back timer, and we're going to create the same 2 triggers that we did before. And on this one we can actually just select both, right? So call direction incoming, and then call status, we can select both no answer and voicemail, so it can trigger on both because we don't need to sort it here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a wait step of 12 hours. You can make this whatever you want. I make it 12 hours. You can make it 6. It's up to you. And then all we're going to do is remove tag. And we're going to remove the missed call tag. Publish and save. So now, as soon as somebody becomes a missed call, they come in here, they're at the wait step for 12 hours, and then after 12 hours, it removes the tag, which means that they'll go down the right track to get the missed call text back. Now, just make sure that this allow reentries in for all these 2 workflows, because we definitely want to be able to account for people who become multiple missed calls. And that's it. That's how you configure it. I know that was 26 minutes of pain, but hopefully you got a lot of value out of this. This is a workflow that I've been tweaking for a while, and it's extremely powerful with the chatbot, like really powerful. If you run a chatbot and you're just doing standard missed call text back, you might be missing opportunities. So thank you for your patience, and yeah, see you next time. Peace.